Well, hello there. Do you find yourself focusing on all the things that your health challenge has taken from you? That's totally understandable. I was there too. This is Wellness by Design. I'm your host, Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer. And today I am talking about 5 things that rheumatoid arthritis took from me. And what I talk about may surprise you. Stay tuned to learn more. And I hope you enjoy this episode, whether you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform or you're watching this on YouTube. Please don't forget to leave a comment, rate, review, and share this episode if you know someone that needs to hear this, whether they've got rheumatoid arthritis or some other health challenge. Okay, I'll see you inside the episode. Okay, first, I want to talk about the inspiration for this episode. And some people may be new to me, so I'll just give you a little overview of my journey with rheumatoid arthritis in case you are one of the new people. So, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2016. I had had this incredibly stressful year leading up to this. And then suddenly, within 3 months, I went from feeling healthy and strong to having pain throughout my body. And I got inflamed and very quickly nearly disabled. And then I discovered food as medicine. So I started working on food and anti-inflammatory diets. And that really did help for a while, but it didn't like reverse everything. And so I was still having pain. And then I discovered I had a bacterial infection in my gut. So I cleared up that and I thought, okay, that's it. And it did help, but I still had RA. I still had inflamed joints and pain. It was better, but I still had it. And so I started looking deeper and deeper. And I discovered mind body medicine. And really, I had to really go back and examine my thoughts and the thoughts I've been thinking my whole life. And so that was what really finally tipped the scale. I didn't know that my nervous system was dysregulated. So I had to get into really helping my nervous system become regulated again so that my body could do its healing work naturally. And I did. I reversed rheumatoid arthritis. So, one of the other things I wanted to talk about was where I used to be with all this because I had, when I was, did barely able to walk or look after myself and had all this pain and inflammation in my body. Of course, I focused on what was not going well and a lot of fear and worry thoughts about the future. And I also even once I started to feel better, I felt like I was in a race against time, right? I had to figure this out. And I was like fighting this. That was the feeling that I had. And I had to do it quickly. And I wasn't good enough yet. I wasn't healing fast enough yet. And so that also was not supporting me, thoughts like that. So, I understand what it's like to feel all those thoughts and have those feelings. But I also know that as long as we're having those thoughts and feelings, we're keeping our nervous system in a state of dysregulation and the body cannot heal like that. It just can't heal if we're in constant fight or flight because it's prioritizing saving your life. It's not prioritizing all the long-term processes that are necessary to heal the body. So if we want to turn on our natural healing ability, then we need to switch the nervous system into a state of regulation. That's what I talk about all the time. So the other thing I found when I first had rheumatoid arthritis, I joined a lot of support groups on Facebook. And in fact, I started a local support group in my town as well. And I noticed how much, and I still see this with a lot of my students when they first come in, very, very focused on what's going wrong, right? What's going wrong. And it's, like I said, is totally understandable. And if people want to stay there, then I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm talking to the people that want to heal, right? The people that want to put their symptoms, like I'm talking about rheumatoid arthritis, but it could be any chronic problem, chronic pain, chronic fibromyalgia, or, whatever, even diabetes, right? So lots of chronic health conditions. Our body can heal when we get into that regulated state of the nervous system. Now, of course, there may be other things you need to do, working with practitioners and so on, and that's fine. But you have to get yourself and your nervous system regulated, and that will help every other modality you use. And the only person that can do it is you, because there's no one else thinking in your mind but you, right? So, just getting back to the support group. So I used to see a lot of people, and a lot of people talking about what they couldn't do, how they had so much lack of energy and couldn't sleep and couldn't do all these things. And they're just sick and tired. And when is this, I'd see comments like, when's this hell going to end? I would rather die. I mean, horrible thoughts like that, right? And they're typing them in. And so they're they're putting more energy behind them. And on top of that, people are reading it. And so it keeps reinforcing fear, and fear breeds fear. And then people are kind of commiserating. So actually, one of the things I did was not go into those groups anymore. And in fact, that's one reason why I wanted to start my own group, because I wanted to tell a different story. And so I actually, like I said, first thing I did was start a local support group. I put up posters and said I was meeting at the public library. I think I did it once a month. Yeah, I think I did it once a month. And it was specifically for rheumatoid arthritis. And I'd get people there and I'd talk about what I was learning about how to heal the body naturally. Now, that was still pretty early on in my journey, so I was talking a lot then about diet, and but I knew right from the beginning that thoughts played a role, because I'd done a lot of work in personal development prior to, and so I really believed in the power of the mind. And so I was kind of doing it all. So yeah, I started those support groups. And then recently, another big piece of information or inspiration behind this podcast was a dear friend of mine. And she's been going through cancer treatments. And she did a post recently. I mean, she's been incredibly positive and inspirational through all of her journey, her surgery, um, radiation, chemo. I don't think she had radiation, but chemotherapy, stem cell treatments. And it's been a long, tough journey, but I have never seen anyone remain so positive and really highlight all of the good things that were happening along the way. And because of that, she's had really quick recovery times. She's still in recovery right now, but she's had really quick recovery times each time she had a chemo treatment. That, the hospital staff would be amazed that she'd get out earlier than expected. So this really does help. So she did a post recently about the things that cancer had taken from her. And she was inspired by, kind of like me, with the RA support groups and hearing people talk to her about, and she had talked to many people who were cancer survivors and friends and so on, because we all know a lot of people have been touched by cancer, right? And she said what they often talked about is what cancer had taken from them, like had taken their joy, had taken their hope, and so many things like that. And she, being a positive person, turned this around. She talked about the things that cancer had taken from her, and it was negative things that cancer had taken from her. Things like, the having confidence and not caring what people would think and anymore, and that kind of thing. So it was really inspirational. And I thought, you know what? I have found that too with rheumatoid arthritis, that rheumatoid arthritis has taken things from me. So I wanted to share that with you today. 5 things. There's really a lot of things, but 5 things I wanted to share today. So let's talk about the 5 things that rheumatoid arthritis has taken from me. So the first thing I want to say is self-loathing. self-loathing. I had so much negative self-talk in my mind about me. I don't think I really loved myself, or I didn't believe that other people loved me. Of course I had some people that loved me, but overall I was just had so much hypervigilance because, early experiences in my life taught me that that I may not necessarily be loved first off. And so I had a lot of this self-loathing, and I really felt like I was never good enough. Whatever I did was never enough. So there was a lot of that. So actually that is gone now. And I talk in other episodes about how I did this. So this today isn't about the how. I'm just sharing with you what what is now not a part of my life. So self-loathing is not a part of my life anymore. Thank goodness. And really the bottom line is you can't heal a body that you hate, right? You can't heal a body that you hate. And it's not just the body, it's the person, right? The whole person, because we're not just a physical body. There's so much to us, right? In fact, we are energy first, which then expresses in this physical form. And how it expresses is in response to our thoughts. Okay, so important. So the second thing that rheumatoid arthritis has taken from me is self-doubt. So it kind of goes along with the self-loathing, but I think it's slightly different. I doubted myself all the time. I didn't think that I was good enough. I didn't have like I seemed confident on the outside, but on the inside, I wasn't confident. And it was like I had a hidden secret that I didn't have confidence. And you would think that I would. And I must say that as I got older, it did get better. As I became a mother, it got better. Motherhood was really the big thing. Get a little weepy now talking about it, but motherhood was the big thing that gave me confidence. I knew that my role as a mother was my most important role. And I love being a mother. I loved being a mother, and when my kids are little and being there for them, um, I really that really did give me confidence. I felt confidence in that role. But in a lot of other roles in my life, I didn't feel confident, and I didn't feel like I was good enough. Um, and I, yeah, that's changed now. Um, I have so much confidence in myself now. So much better. All right, let's talk about the third thing that rheumatoid arthritis has taken from me, and that is resentment. Oh boy, resentment and blame. And I think resentment and blame were kind of something I learned. It was just the way I grew up, especially with my father. And a lot of when things didn't go right, I learned that someone else or the world or some event was at fault. And so I kind of grew up with that. And then that was my go to when things weren't going well. I would blame someone else or something else or my situation. And that's really not a good place to be because we're so powerless in that state, right? We're a victim. We're always a victim to other people, to circumstances, to events. And so instead of feeling that resentment and blame, I learned to take 100% responsibility for where I was, and that every reaction I had was really my reaction. And there's always, I find when people learn this concept, they feel then, well, am I to blame for my rheumatoid arthritis or my pain, my health condition? And again, that's not the feeling we want to have. It's not blame. It's like I am responsible for how my thoughts have manifested in this expression of illness in my body. But with that comes the power that if I am responsible for this turning on, I can also be responsible for turning it off. So very empowering, super empowering. So I hope you see it that way. And that switching from being a victim to being empowered is such a great thing that rheumatoid arthritis took from me. Okay, the fourth thing that RA took from me is fear of self-expression. So when I was really little, and I don't really remember this, maybe a little bit, but I stuttered. So I stuttered. I had an older sibling, and this is part of my resentment, and I accept it now. And but I was teased a lot, and that resulted in me stuttering. And then, see, I kind of stuttered a little bit just even talking about stuttering. I stuttered, and then I was teased for stuttering, and then I would cry, and I'd be teased for crying. And so this expression of me out in the world uh, didn't feel safe, right? It didn't feel safe. And so I developed, in response to that, as a protection mechanism, right? A fear of self-expression. And that makes total sense. It makes total sense that I did that because of the situation that I'm in. Now, notice, I don't know if you can notice, but I used to have resentment about that. So going back to that resentment thing, I used to have resentment and blame around that, but I don't anymore. I realized that my sibling was just where they were and responding to their world in the way they knew how, and I was where I was responding to the world in the best way I knew how at the time. But what has happened is, now that I did the work around that and can see, okay, that was just me, adapting in the best way I could at the time. And I've done a lot of work and a lot of forgiveness. And through that, and actually just doing it, I have lost that fear of self expression. When I first started on this journey of, okay, I want to teach other people and help other people with what I've learned, I just started doing Facebook Lives, and I would get all like sweaty, and my voice would crack, and I'd get all nervous before I did it. But I just went ahead and did it. And we build um, that that confidence in expressing ourselves by doing it, right? And then I'm showing myself, okay, I did it and I was fine. It's okay. And then, I'd hear from people and say, thank you so much. You've inspired me, or because of what you said, I've now, so it's really, that has given me so much confidence and taken away that fear of self-expression. Now, if I had to stand up and speak in front of 3,000 people, would I have some fear? Probably. Maybe not. So I don't know. I think I do a lot of preparation for that. And, even now when I do these things, I remind myself before I start. I kind of do a little intention to remind myself, this isn't about me, right? I am doing this for you. I am doing this for the people that are listening, because if I can make some little change, if what I say helps you make a little change that's going to shift you more towards self-healing, then it's worth it. And it's not about me, right? It's not about me at all. It's about you. So, of course, I still, when I hear myself, I hear my little stumbles and stutters and ohs and ums, but I just go, it's okay. It's okay. The message is still getting out there. So, all right, that's that fear of self expression. And I'm writing a book now too. I'm not afraid to write. So, it's all coming out in lots of different ways. And then the fifth thing that RA took from me was a career I wasn't truly happy in. Now, I don't regret it. So I was an engineer for 30 years. I uh, did structural design. I worked sometimes with a consultant, but mostly teaching in a college environment. I taught in a three-year diploma program for civil engineering technology. And, I loved teaching, and I still love teaching. But I would say that what I was teaching didn't light my heart up like this work does. I didn't feel like I was changing lives. Now, every once in a while, I did have a student who said, you know, just learning from you, because I would weave in other parts of life too, about some personal development stuff. I would try to weave that in. But, there's not a lot of opportunity for that when you've got a curriculum you've got to follow. but I would be that person. And I would, especially for some of my female students, I would hear from them afterwards that I inspired them. And so that was very rewarding, but it was not my heart's calling, I think. I don't regret it. It was all good. It took me exactly to where I am now. I learned a lot of skills because I learned how to take complicated things and break it down to try make it simple. And I still have to do that because sometimes some of this medical stuff is complicated, right? But I try to always make it as simple as I can for you, and express it in a way, and teach you in a way that can help you. And now I'm doing like what this really lights my heart up, and I think I'll just keep on doing it forever. I don't see retiring. I don't see that I'm going to stop doing this. And if you followed me, you probably know that I did have, when I was at my worst moment and like curled up in pain, crying, fearful for my future. I remember when I had that thought of I don't want to carry on anymore, that I immediately had another thought, like a voice that said, this isn't how your life is going to turn out. You're going to figure this out and you're going to teach other people. And so now this, what I'm doing right in this very moment, is what I felt called to do. And that gives me so much joy, so much um, purpose. So I feel very, very grateful for that. So those are 5 things that rheumatoid arthritis has taken from me. And I would say, take them. Self-loathing, self-doubt, resentment and blame, fear of self-expression, and a career I wasn't truly happy in. So how is my life better since RA? Well, I reversed the rheumatoid arthritis. I never took any medications. And I'm not saying don't take medications. I'm just saying I started on the healing path and could see that I was having results as I was moving along the path. So then I didn't want to kind of throw another variable into the mix. For me, that's what I wanted. And I also didn't want to take anything to suppress the pain, because that was my feedback, right? Pain was my feedback. And so if I wanted to know if I'm trying something else, how is that affecting pain? If I was masking the pain, then I would lose that piece of information. So that's where I was. And I don't want to say you have to do that, but I'm saying what I did. Okay. So I reversed it. I love it. I have no pain now. I can do whatever I want to do. I can climb mountains. I'm running trail runs. I can do anything. Now, if I start getting hard on myself, because I'm a human being, these things happen, then I may get some pain, and then I got to realize, okay, where am I putting pressure on myself? And take it easy, step back. Okay, because I still have a whole lifetime of these adaptations that I made, right? The self-loathing, self-doubt, the perfectionism, people pleasing, all those things. I still have those that, when I'm not really aware, I can switch back to. But I'm more aware and I catch myself sooner. So it won't be like days or weeks. I catch myself, oh my goodness, I'm having thoughts that aren't serving me right now. I've got to switch it around. I got to swap those thoughts and switch it around and have thoughts that are supporting my body's ability to heal. I also have so much energy. So when I was at my worst, I had no energy. I wasn't sleeping well. I I mean, it was just awful. So that's gone. I really feel like I have like boundless energy. And I do sleep really well now for the most part. If I start putting pressure on myself, then I will see that. That might be one of the things that I see right away. And I know now that I have the power to turn on my body's natural healing ability. So I'm not fearful of anything. I used to remember having a lot of fear of like cancer. Because we know a lot of people with cancer, and I used to have that fear. I don't have that fear anymore. I really don't have a fear of anything like that. I don't even have a fear of dying, actually. I think just understanding that we are energy, and that energy never changes form, or sorry, never dies, it just changes form, then also has taken away a worry for me. It's just like I am here to express in this physical body right now, today. And so I very much focus on today and in this moment. Now, of course, I have goals and plans, but I am like every day, what can I do today? And you know what? I honestly love myself now. I really do. And it really, what other people think does not matter, because what I think about me is what matters. I'm the one that's with me all the time. And so I also know that when you love yourself, that's what's reflected, that's what radiates out from you. And so that is what reflects back to you, right? So if you notice that you're finding fault in yourself, you probably also find fault with other people. And then they probably find fault in yourself because that's what you're, putting out there, right? So when you love yourself, you just put out different kind of energy. It changes everything. And then now, of course, I live and speak my truth. Like I don't have to hide myself anymore or feel like, I can't talk about things like energy because someone might think that's weird. I mean, it really, people might still think it's weird, but that's where they are. It's not up to me to worry about that. I like talking about this and I'm interested in it. And so I like to share it. Um, but in other ways, I live and speak my truth. And of course, I have doubts that come up, but like I said before, I catch myself. I don't sit there and dwell for a long time. And so I can switch things around sooner. And then obviously through my work, and this change that I have now as the wellness engineer instead of, the old engineer, traditional engineer, this gives me the opportunity to, and a platform to help other people every single day. And I absolutely love it. And I'm so grateful to you because without you, I people wouldn't hear me, right? So I'm so grateful to you for allowing me, for honoring me by listening and watching to this. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So I invite you to think about if you've got a chronic health condition right now, and instead of focusing on what it's taken from you, maybe begin to shift about what it gives you. And if you're not there yet, think about what it can give you and use my story as inspiration, because we know that the body can heal. There's tons and tons of stories of spontaneous remissions, of miraculous healings, of people, following protocols that can help, right? That can reverse, and use me as an example again. This is possible for you. So maybe right in this moment, you're switching from lack of hope to hope. Okay. That this is opening up a new version of you that was always doubtful before. Maybe you've got a new version of you that is confident. So have a look at those things. Think about that. And so what's one thing you could do today that's going to initiate healing in your body? It's changing your thoughts around, because every time we switch from these lack thoughts, what we've lost, to more like abundance thoughts, let's think about it that way, then when we're in that feeling of abundance and gratitude, we automatically shift the nervous system from the state that doesn't support healing, that sympathetic state, to the rest, digest, repair state, the parasympathetic state that does support healing. So the more we can do that, the more we can shift, then the more we're going to be providing the environment in which our body can heal. Okay. So see if you can switch one thought today. What's one thing you can do? All right, so stay tuned for future episodes. I've got some really wonderful guests coming up, and I'm excited to share what they know with you, because all of this can help you on your journey to living pain-free, or living the life you are meant to live without chronic pain or any other chronic conditions holding you back from expressing the best version of you. That's the version of you that is your natural version, that should be expressing and dearly wants to express in this world. We just block it with our thoughts, but we can turn that around. All right, don't forget to rate, review, leave a comment, share this. I so appreciate you, and I'll see you again next week on Wellness by Design.